You're listening to The Rich Life Revolution with me, Michelle Cooper. My mission is to empower you to step into your next level of wealthy. You'll hear all the deets, a little bit of inspiration, and real life takeaways so that you can create your own rich life revolution. Let's dig in. Hey girl, hey, welcome to the Rich Life Revolution. I'm your host, Michelle, and we're talking all about quantum creating. So I had a conversation recently with a new friend. Her name is Stephanie Traeger. I've done an interview with her on the podcast, and I will link that in the show notes. But we were talking about the concept of being a quantum creator. Now, this episode might be way on the woo spectrum for some of my listeners. And for some of you, it'll be right in your sweet spot. But I did want to share with you some thoughts I've had and some journaling from my conversation and from some things that Stephanie shared with me, right? So when we think about quantum creating or being a quantum creator, we might not really know what that means. And so I am going to explain it to you. And as Stephanie walked me through this, I understand there are three different kinds, as she sees it, of creators. So there's the programmed creator, there is the heart-centered creator, and then there's the quantum creator. So it all starts with purpose, right? We've all heard, know your purpose, understand your purpose, live your purpose. We've seen the memes, we've seen all the motivational videos, right? And often that purpose comes from a place of like, I am manifesting my biggest goal or my biggest dream or my biggest desire, right? And that's part of my purpose. So when I thought about this, right, like starting with, what's my biggest goal? What's my biggest dream? What's my biggest desire? I realized that there was a big piece here around money and freedom and creativity, right? So when I look at what I want to manifest, my dreams and desires and my goals, it involves money. It involves freedom, time freedom, location freedom. It also involves some creativity, like an expression of my creativity. So when we think about our goals and our dreams and everything we're trying to manifest, often what comes up for people is the concept of liberation or freedom, right? In my world, I talk about revolution, right? This is the rich life revolution. And so when we think about that, right, liberation or revolution or freedom, liberation is a frequency that is not bound in the roots of your old identity, right? So there's your old identity, there's you before, there's you now, but then there's the future you who is living the thing that you are wanting to manifest, right? So if you think about it like a timeline, like a linear line, there's the old you, that's previous years, might be you as a child, young adult, whatever. There's you now, right? And everything that you know and have been through and have manifested already. And then there's what you're wanting to call into your life. That's the future you. Now, what I do know for sure is if we have the thought, it exists on some parallel in the future. It has already happened. It is out there, because if it wasn't possible for us, we wouldn't even have the thought. Now, I know that can sound really weird, right? But I promise you, like, the things that you're thinking, the things that you desire, the experiences you want to manifest, the relationships you want, the money you want, the success you want, all the things, they actually exist for you, because I don't have those same things on my vision board, or I'm not trying to manifest those same things. The things that I desire to experience are for sure not everything that you like. We might have some common ones, but we're going to have manifestations that are only ours, right? And so that liberation, that frequency of liberation, of freedom, of revolution is not in that old identity. It is liberation, and that freedom is freedom from our conditioning, right? It is an evolution of our being. We are not bound by old thoughts, old thinking, old conditioning, and old identity. So my root of liberation is my higher purpose. It is understanding that, it is knowing that, and it is living it. And what we can do is get clear on what is holding us back, right? So one of the things that can hold us back is negative thoughts. And whether you have one negative thought or 10 million negative thoughts an hour, we all have them. It's just part of being a human being. And we can consider, what is my most dominant negative thought? For me, it's guilt, right? I'll just be super honest and transparent. My most dominant negative thought comes from guilt. It's the need to justify my decisions. It's the need to justify my spending or how I spend my time, my money, my true feelings, my true thoughts about situations and people. It all comes from a place of guilt. Like, maybe I shouldn't be this lucky. Maybe I shouldn't be this fortunate. My number one mantra is, I'm the kind of chick that everything always works out for, because that truly is my lived experience. And there's some guilt there, and that's okay, right? But we just need to identify it. So if we think about these three pillars, right? These three kind of identities. There's the programmed creator identity, as Stephanie describes it. So what does this look like? This looks like usually the average person walking down the street. We're conditioned by society and societal norms. We lean on logic and have very linear thinking. We're focused on mindset for improvement. Now, mindset's important, but it's not the only thing, right? But a programmed creator, if you're living in that identity, you're focused on mindset as improvement. We follow rules. We follow the societal norms. We won't step outside the box. We're anthropocentric. Now, that's a big word. Anthropocentric. So we have an anthropocentric worldview, which means that we are the center. We are the creator of life. Everything revolves around us. We're separate from nature and the cosmos. Earth is like a vacuum, right? It's like its own thing. Safety drives our decisions. Now, that's a big one, right? Safety drives our decisions. Security comes from money, and it comes from our status, and maybe money provides our status. Scarcity is encoded into life and all the decisions that are happening. Life happens to me. And if I work hard, everything will be okay. So for me, the biggest piece of the program creator, I've worked through a lot of this, but the biggest piece, if I'm super honest, is the safety comes from money. And you would think that would not be my thing, considering everything I talk about and everything I do in the world. But if I'm super honest with you guys, it's still there, right? It's still there because it's what's known as an identity trap. So identity traps are the kind of sticky programming. They're the sticky qualities. They're those sticky stories that keep coming up over and over again. So despite all the work we do, despite all the stuff, despite all the processes, all the inner work, all the plant medicine, all the things, meditation, all the stuff, it still comes up. And there's situations in life that still trigger this for us. So we might catch it, right? We might be like, oh, here I am again. here I am in the same relationship again. Here I am with the same thoughts again. Here I am in the same situation again. I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel. I'm just like reliving life over and over again, right? Some may say this is unhealed parts of ourselves, and that could very well be true. However, it is important to see our biggest identity trap, right? And for me, like I said, there's this piece that keeps coming up, which is around security comes from money. So what does that do? How does that show up in our life? Well, for me, it keeps me doing things that I don't really love. I can do them. It's okay. I'm good at them, right? But it keeps me trapped in doing things because I can do them because they will earn me money, right? Like I know if I put in this work, I will get this amount of dollars out. It keeps me in relationships for way too long. It keeps me stuck because I make bad decisions, right? In the past, I've made bad decisions around money, and that's got me into a lot of problems. And so I have to look at, well, what's my biggest fear around letting go of this identity? Well, that seems kind of scary, right? I won't be safe. Because if money equals safety and I let go of this identity and this identity trap, then I won't be safe. What does that mean? It means my family won't be safe. I won't be able to provide for them. I won't be able to fulfill my wants and needs, let alone their wants and needs. Life is going to become crap and it's all going to collapse around me, right? On the other hand, my biggest opportunity for letting go of that identity and stepping out of that identity trap comes from listening to my inner guidance, releasing this identity, right? And trusting that it's all going to be okay. It's all going to work out. Because remember, I'm the kind of chick that everything always works out for. So why am I stuck holding on to it? I will say I still have a little resistance to it. But if I stepped out of that programmed identity, perhaps even more could open up. I have to trust that, right? I have to say, absolutely more will open up. It might not mean more money, but I'm still going to be safe. Everything will be provided because I'm the kind of chick that everything always works out for. I'm the kind of chick that gets everything she desires, right? So I could be stepping into even more ease and flow, creativity, freedom, all the things if I were to step out of this identity and this identity trap, right? This creator identity and this identity trap. And then, of course, that big question, what is my purpose? Well, that can seem really daunting, I think. And so we don't have to know what our purpose is. Now, there's people out there who can say, absolutely, I know my purpose and I'm in it, right? Or I'm getting in it, right? But there's those of us who might be thinking, I'm not totally sure, or I think this is my purpose. I don't know. And then we translate that into, well, that's fine, but how do I make money at that? Right. So it reminds me of an interview I saw with Jim Carrey once, where he talked about getting clarity that his purpose was to help people laugh or make people laugh. I think that's what it was. And once he got clear that that's the only thing he was here to do, and then that was okay. All of a sudden, the path cleared and all of the fame, the fortune, all of it just opened up for him, right? So we don't have to know all the ins and outs of it. I would say to focus in on what's your purpose today. If you don't know that big purpose, the big billboard purpose thing, what's your purpose today? I know for me, there's a piece of me that I'm very clear on. And I know in my soul, intuitively, that a part of my purpose, or maybe the whole being of my purpose, is to help people see what's possible for themselves, right? And live in that possibility. There's this whole thing around possibility for me. Now, in my current life today, that looks like helping business owners create more profitable businesses, and see what's possible for them in their business and in their entrepreneurial endeavors, right? In the Rich Life Mastermind, it's helping the members of the mastermind see what's possible in their next chapter, right? So I see my purpose come through more so now than ever before, right? But it doesn't have to be this bright shining light be all end all. For me, it's not that. It's very subtle, right? And I can connect the dots looking back because I can see, well, yeah, sure, my company helps people have accurate, detailed financial records, blah, 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 and a more profitable business. But really, my work is helping them see what's possible for themselves. So the second pillar here is what's called a heart-centered creator. Now, a lot of people in the healing space, in the coaching space, in the intuitive space will talk about being a heart-centered leader. They'll talk about being a heart-centered creator. And in Stephanie's work, I think it's really interesting because I was like, oh yeah, heart-centered creator. I know what that is, right? And I was surprised to hear what that looks like as compared to the programmed creator, which is kind of like our average person. I was like, oh, I'm totally a heart-centered creator. And I might be, right? So a heart-centered creator has a lot of empathy and self-awareness. They're very turned on to that part of themselves, and they live it. They believe that life happens for us, not to us, right? They follow their intuition. They follow their inner knowing. However, they also have an anthropocentric worldview. So it's still a view of I am the center and things revolve around me. They see themselves separate from God, from the universe, from creator, from source. They have an emphasis on mindfulness and compassion. These are all good things, right? They have boundaries that honor their own and others' needs. Money is often attached to emotion for a heart-centered creator. They have a great focus on gratitude and being in alignment for sure. And a self-care focus is on nourishing their bodies and their nervous system. And they feel that they have an understanding of their purpose. So I feel like for sure, I sit in the heart-centered creator kind of column, right? I can tick a lot of those boxes. I don't know that I agree with some of them. I don't think I have an anthropocentric worldview, and I don't think that I'm separate. I actually think that I'm one with the cosmos, and I think that there's so much more outside of me. I am absolutely not the center, right? So this is a really significant awareness, I think, if you can go through that kind of checklist per se. So if we kind of lean back onto purpose and consider when your purpose is a what and it's embedded in who we are, it becomes our identity. And then we can fall into those identity traps. And then from an identity trap, we create a story about what this means about us. So let's use me as an example here, right? If my purpose, my possibility purpose becomes a what, it becomes what I do and who I am. I am the gal who will show you what's possible for you in your life and your business. And that becomes my identity, right? I am that person. I am that business owner. I am that coach. I am that consultant. I am that magical cure for you. And then I fall into an identity trap of money provides safety. And then if I don't make money at it, I might be creating a story about what this means to me, about me. And that could be that I'm useless at this and I'm not fulfilling my purpose, when I don't know that that is anywhere close to being true, right? So for me, my purpose identity actually looks like a high achieving business owner or high achieving entrepreneur who makes a lot of money, who's highly successful, right? I have a multi-seven-figure business. I've got lots of different businesses on the go. I invest in businesses. I buy businesses. I help people create profitable businesses. So that becomes my purpose identity. And I could clearly see that. That's how I show up in the world, right? However, that keeps me stuck because I have to keep funding that. It's like a never-ending cycle. I need the money to fulfill the purpose identity, just be like, here's me living my best life. You can too. Nobody's going to take advice on how to build a profitable business for somebody who doesn't have a profitable business, right? So how could I step away from that identity? Because it fuels my purpose identity, which, fuels everything. So I need the money to fulfill my purpose identity. And that totally supports the false programmed identity that money equals safety, right? It's like a figure eight, like it goes back and forth. And this serves me because it provides money, which gives me a false sense of security, right? It's like, I don't know, the devil's advocate. Like this is a cycle I'm stuck in. So my purpose identity, right? Remember, high achieving, very successful business owner shows up in my lived experience in my social media. It shows up in my relationships with friends, family, clients, how I show up in in-person events. I'm out there speaking, I'm doing these things, right? It shows up in how I live my life, what I choose to spend my money on, or how I choose to spend my time and money. It is totally integrated into my life at this point. And this is real life. Like I'm telling you, I'm giving you all backstage things of my life here. Now, what Stephanie helped me see is that the third piece here is transforming yourself into a quantum creator, right? So this is living in your higher purpose. Quantum creators reframe how we receive information. It's not from the coach or consultant or the external person on TikTok giving you advice, right? We tap into the field that is outside of ourselves, the quantum field, universal knowledge, nature, external guidance, the cosmos, energy. We tap into that. We rely on a universal knowing. Now, this doesn't mean we're an island to ourselves. We have to spend time with people who are embodying the same energy, right? And we extract the medicine from every situation. Good, bad, ugly, right, wrong, whatever. Right or wrong doesn't exist. It just is, right? Who is it who said, if you think you're right or you think you're wrong, you're right? Or something like that. So we're extracting the medicine from every situation. We're not attached to old stories. We become a master of discernment. We're able to discern how we spend our time, who we spend it with, what we do. We trust our vision and our intuitive hits, like our message from the universe, right? Often our psychic abilities expand and we move by instinct, not advice or expectation from others. So for me, this was a big piece because I spent years seeking advice, expectations, and input externally from other people who some would call gurus, experts, whatever they were, leaders in a thing, and just adopting whatever they said as true, as factual, as right for me, right? I'm not there anymore. Okay. I totally appreciate that there's amazing people out there in the world and they are delivering amazing content. But I need to listen to myself. I need to listen to me and I need to listen to the guidance that I'm hearing from my guides, from source, from the universe, from my intuition, from my gut, like me. I need to listen to nature, right? I need to listen to the natural world. And that includes how I spend my time. So being outside in nature, not distracted with the latest podcast or an audiobook or whatever. Like there's time for those things, absolutely. But for me right now, I need to put myself out there in nature and be good with that and listen to what comes up for me. And a quantum creator has a eco or a cosmocentric worldview. right? So when I look at this, it's like, what really resonates with me? Absolutely drawing from the guidance of the universe, the natural world energy, absolutely trusting my vision and my intuitive hits, and moving by instinct, not advice or expectation of others, right? Those three things for me are big ones that I feel I'm already doing and can lean into more. And so this is really interesting information and an interesting awareness. For sure, this whole kind of, like I described it, like a figure eight, this whole thing around my purpose identity leading to the identity trap and how this serves me and how it keeps me there is a huge aha for me, right? Sure, I've always been aware that I have had and sometimes still have a belief that money provides security and safety, but understanding how this relates to my purpose identity and how this keeps me in a identity trap and how it kind of almost self-funds itself is a big one. And I'm going to go and work on that, right? That's going to be something that I lean into and do some work around. So as I said, this episode might be a little on the woo for some of you. It might be right in your sweet spot, but I'm here to shake the trees and help you question things, help you think about stuff, right? This is the Rich Life Revolution. It's not the Rich Life sit on your ass and do nothing and magically money will appear. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I would love to hear your feedback. I would love to hear, what your thoughts are around this. And if anything jumped out at you, right? It would be so great to hear what your big takeaways are. Don't forget to join me next week. And I'll see you guys around. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you got at least one gold nugget today. Be sure to grab your copy of the Rich Life Revolution workbook to help you set the foundation for your next level of wealthy. Get it now at richliferevolution.ca, and I'll see you later.